Morbius meme. All instances of swearing in this video will instead be replaced by the word morb. V-Rising is great. It's a fantastic game and one of the best survival games I've played. Like, it's in the top 3. I got completely sucked into it, which was surprising to me because when I first saw it I was like, nah, a game where you play a vampire? That's kinda lame, TBH. And GL, a game where you run around sucking off a bunch of people? That's kinda gay. So why is V-Rising such a good game? Fun combat, good crafting, good building, a survival mechanic that isn't tedious, a customizable server experience? This is a new must for me. After going through the morbscape of tediousness in Valheim, I think experienced customization tools are a must. The premise. Vampires used to hold dominion over the lands, until the humans defeated Dracula and took the lands back. You, a vampire, have been sleeping since this defeat, and now you are waking up to take back your rightful place. That's the premise as far as I know. So what's it like being a vampire? Well, it's a lot like being a React streamer. A React streamer needs other people to make good content for them, just like a vampire needs humans for blood. A vampire can't produce blood by itself, just like the React streamer is incapable of making good content. So, as a parasite, the vampire needs to make sure it doesn't kill its entire food population. And that is why I don't kill the humans that don't attack me, unless they are in the way of a resource I need to gather. But the humans of course have ways to protect themselves, just like content creators do. While the content creator has a copyright claim or a DMCA, the humans have the famous garlic, silver, holy artifacts, and the sun. These will make the vampire recoil in horror as it becomes weakened. But the vampire can brew potions to protect themselves from those weapons. Or just YOLO it and hope for the best. But now for the main course. Feeding. If you don't drink enough blood, you starve to death. You can drink blood from pretty much anything except the undead, because they don't have blood. But pick a human just for the fun of it. You have to weaken a target before eating, and once you have weakened them enough, you will see some percentage out of 100. That percentage represents blood purity. The higher a percentage, the better. So now, you decide to feed, and drain this human of its blood just like a reactor drains a video of its algorithmic potential. And once you have fed, you see that your blood type has changed. Every living thing in this world has a class, and if you feed on that class, you become that class. Classes like the warrior, rogue, scholar, brute, or creature. Depending on the blood purity, you will get a variety of benefits from each class. I like the brute because lifesteal is awesome. The vampire can also shapeshift, like turning into a wolf, a frog, a bat, or a bear. And the most fun one, a human. Seriously, the first time I turned into a human to go buy stuff from a human merchant, I had a smile on my face the whole time. It's such a fun little thing to have in the game and I love it. The main progression in the game is hunting people with Type V blood to unlock new powers and technologies. And that's a great progression system. Hunting prey down and then having a boss fight with them, it's awesome. Morbius meme. In terms of combat, it's like a melee twin-stick shooter. A twin-stick meleeer. Meleeer. This is where the vampire powers come in. Like projectiles, AoEs, shields, a dodge, and an ultimate ability. There are a lot of ways you can build your vampire. My personal build is the Veil of Chaos dodge because I can dodge twice and leave a decoy behind that explodes. Unstable mosquitoes, they are summonable mosquitoes that explode. If you're gonna use a summon, it should be the world's deadliest animal. Chaos Volley, which is 2 projectiles that leave a damage over time effect, and the Spectral Guardian. He's a golem that I summon that gives me a shield and distracts my enemies. I've played with a lot of the abilities and the variety is fantastic. It's a lot of fun experimenting with the stuff that's in here. And then there's the weapons. There's a good variety there except for the ranged option. A crossbow. That's the only ranged weapon, and I did not like using it. You have to stop and then shoot. I hate that. But the melee weapons are great, and there are 3 that I use consistently. The sword, the slashers, and the reaper. At the start, these weapons are nothing special, but as you progress, they get abilities. The sword has a spin to win and some single target stabby cutty that makes you invulnerable to damage. The slashers dash forward and back, and the stealth ability. This ability is so morbing good, it is the sole reason I have won some boss fights. The Reaper is cool and it has 1 spin that knocks enemies back, and you can throw it out to spin in the air for a while doing good damage. It's the spin to win weapon. These weapon abilities and vampire powers are so great because they keep things so fresh throughout the playtime and will make sure that no 2 vampires are the same. And every time I hunt the boss, I'm so excited to see what my new power is gonna be. Speaking of the boss fights, they are great. There isn't a boss fight I didn't like. They are all superbly well designed. They are challenging but fair. However, there are 2 things I didn't like. 1, moving the camera around during the boss fight can be a bit hectic, and I think a good idea to fix that is some kind of lock-on system. And number 2, my god, does the vampire take its time to drink a health potion. The healing items already don't do that much, and then on top of that, the vampire drinks the potion slower than a senile in traffic. So yeah, change that and just have the vampire chuck it down like a big boy. But yeah, great boss fight mechanics that will force you to become a better player. Dark Souls. I didn't do any PvP because the thought of some asshole destroying my castle pisses me off. So I played single player. Every good vampire needs a huge ass castle to stand as a testament of its power. You make a castle heart and then claim the squares around it and then build some stuff like crafting stations and then eventually the castle walls themselves. The building is solid, feels good and intuitive. I have no problem with it. Now let's get into the crafting. You'll be getting a lot of stuff, lumber, stone, copper, plants, and then the variety of stuff the people you will be killing drop. And you gotta make something with the stuff. You'll be working with a lot of crafting stations, but it's important to note that crafting never becomes overwhelming. Never too much stuff to keep track of. The crafting system and the buildings around them feel pretty much content complete, and it's a real theme of this game. What the hell isn't in this game, except that one area on the map that isn't there? It feels so complete, especially compared to all the other survival early access games on Steam. But you're progressing through tiers, and each tier will give you new crafting buildings. Like tier 1, you will be making weapons and armor on the workbench, and then tier 2 the smithy, and then tier 3 the anvil. Except in tier 2 and 3 you'll be making armor on the tailoring bench. Let's run through some examples. You wanna make an Iron Reaper. You need 15 iron ingots and 12 planks to make it on the smithy. Gather some lumber and take it to the sawmill to turn it into planks. The iron might be a little more work. You can find it around the map in Dunley Farmlands and Silverlight Hills. But the safest bet is the Haunted Iron Mine. You should prepare for some combat, because yeah, it has some bony boys that are quite mean, and the humans regularly run into this mine to raise some hell. Yeah, factions in this game will fight each other. I always love when that happens in a game. But you need to get some iron, and don't worry if your weapon isn't strong enough to break the iron rocks, because you can find some in the chests and the breakable boxes. Once you get enough, go back to base and smelt the ore in the furnace, then take it to the smithy and make the Reaper. Let's say you want to make the Hollow Fang chest guard. You need leather, wool thread, and cotton yarn. For leather, you need to kill some animals and take their fur to the tannery to turn it into leather. Wool thread drops from the humans you kill, or you could make it on the loom with coarse thread, which also drops from humans, and fire blossom, which is a plant you cut down. For cotton yarn, you need to go to the local cotton fields and pick some cotton. If you get a cotton plant seed, it's a great idea to plant it around the castle to make your own safe farm. Bring the cotton back to the loom and you get cotton yarn. Then bring it all to the tailoring bench and make the Hollow Fang chest guard. Okay, last example, potions. Useful if you get the chance to use them. Blood Rose Potion. The Blood Rose is all over the place, so cut it down when you see it. Humans drop a lot of empty glass bottles you can use, but you can make your own with glass. You can make glass in the furnace with quartz, which you find in the Dunley farmlands. Fill the empty glass with water, bring it to the alchemy table, and boom, Blood Rose Potion, which is pretty much just a health potion. If there was anything I would describe even slightly as tedious, it would be the research. You unlock most of the necessary stuff with hunts, but the extra stuff that's useful will come from research. To research, you need to get lucky and get a book that will unlock the research it's tied to, or gather up a lot of papers, scrolls, or schematics to unlock a random technology. The reason it can be tedious is because of the randomness of it, but paper scrolls and schematics drop so frequently that it's hardly something that bothers me much. And it's a good reason to engage in the fun combat. And of course, you want research because that's how you get appropriate floors for each workspace, like the tailor floor for the tannery and loom, and forge flooring for the smithy, furnace, and anvil. You want these floors because they make crafting cost less resources. Most crafting stations are tied to some floor pattern, and that will help you organize your castle into rooms rather than just a mess. The biggest difficulty with building is finding a good place to build. I can only imagine how much of a nightmare it is to find a good place on a multiplayer server. There are some empty spots on the map that are clearly meant for castles, but when you start for the first time you might not know that. And the place I picked for my first castle is less than ideal. But the second place that's more intended for fast travel is fantastic. High up, close to the livestock, and spacious. A good place to be Morbin. Morbius meme. Story. So there's not really a story, but there is some lore stuff. You can primarily read it on the Blood Altar to see the story of the guys you're hunting, and you can piece some stuff together and it's interesting. It's not some garbage. I think all the bosses talk to you when you fight them. I didn't expect that, but it does so much for immersion. This is more of a make your own story kind of game though, so I wouldn't really want the story shoved down my throat. The music, I like it. I would describe it as hauntingly peaceful. How would you make horror music for chilling around? I don't know, but I know V Rising accomplished it. It's good. Why I don't want to play the multiplayer. So typically the problem with survival multiplayer is high-level players killing low levels for fun, essentially griefing. Getting your base destroyed and competing for resources, lots of people joining an alliance and just bullying everyone else, getting killed when you're just chilling, getting resources, and trying to find a place for a base when it seems every good place is taken. I remember trying to play Cryofall multiplayer and spent an hour just trying to find a place for a base. After that, I don't really want to deal with it anymore. I will include in the description of this video the settings I used for my playthrough. It's mostly just making things happen faster, but by default you can't teleport with some items. So you should turn that off. I hated it in Valheim, and I still hate it here. At least it's toggleable in V Rising. In conclusion, this is a really solid game, and I wouldn't have noticed anything if this wasn't early access. It feels so complete. And the only real complaint I would have is the camera. Moving it around during combat can be a little difficult, especially when you're trying to dodge, hit an ability and move the camera at the same time. I was gonna make a video about Satisfactory, but once I tried V Rising for a little bit, I ended up playing it for 75 hours straight. Well, I did sleep, but every spare moment I had went into V Rising. What's in the game right now is morbing amazing, and I can't wait to see what more comes out of early access. Like maybe playing as werewolves or whatever, or even as the humans. This went straight into my top 10 favorite video games, and oddly, the art style in some places reminded me a little of Warcraft 3, especially the Silverlight Hills. Probably reminded me of Kalimdor, the Orc campaign. Or maybe V Rising finally captured the same feeling I used to have all the time back in the 2000s. The feeling of playing a really good fantasy video game. Actually, another complaint I have is how long stuff takes on the default settings, but you can change all of that except the servant missions. I didn't find a setting that speeds up those missions, and they can take like 16 hours, which is way too morbing long. Oh yeah, you can charm people and make them your servant and send them on missions. You can also imprison them to make them your personal blood bag. It's a fantastic game that's showing AAA studios how to make a good video game, and I give it my highest recommendation. 3 morbs out of 3 morbins. More reviews out soon, and maybe I'll do something a little different in the near future, just for fun. Remember to morbent and morbscribe and morbike. This is so fucking stupid.